Now, she's not yet 21 years of age, but I'm willing to bet that her face will be on the cover of Vogue before she gets the key of the door. Her name will be uttered in the same breath as Naomi or Ava or Kate. She's just been signed by a top international agency, and it's predicted that she will really be the first Irish supermodel. She's just flown in a shoot in London to be with us tonight. We welcome back home Alison Canavan. The big time beckons, Alison.
Well, nearly there. I'm really happy with where it's going at the moment. So.
How long have you been in London?
I've been there about a year now, just about a year full time. I'm kind of based there at the moment.
Yeah, why did you go?
Just because I want, well, money, I suppose. You have to kind of spread yourself abroad to make the money in this business. You don't make it. You can make a good living in Dublin, but you won't make anything like you make abroad.
Yeah, it takes nerve, though, to go to London. Here it's a relatively small pool, and you get a certain amount of work. In London, you are competing with probably thousands of girls.
Well, it's difficult. I got a shock because I was used to maybe having 2 or 3 castings a week here and working 1 or 2 days a week, and then I went over there and it was like, well, here's 10 castings on a map of London and off you go. Each casting has like 150 girls, and I was like, oh my God, this is like the real kind of modelling world. It was a bit of a shock. I think I expected something totally different.
There's a touch of the cattle market about that kind of thing.
It is in a way. You know, you kind of feel, you get disillusioned when you're going to a casting and you kind of say, God, what's the point? You know what I mean? You have bad days and you're like, why am I doing this? There's 150 girls here. They're all beautiful. They're all like, you know, stunning. They're all just as good as me. Like, what's the point? So, but I mean, then you get the next day the agency rings you and says you got the job, and you're like, well, this is why I'm doing it, because, you know, you feel great about yourself then.
I just want to pop up something on the screen, because in the last few weeks, these are the covers that you have got.
Yeah.
International covers, and this is big stuff, isn't it? What changed for you in the last while that enabled you to get work like that?
I was with IMG in London, and things were, still going well. I mean, I was working well all the time, working well through Germany. Last year I was in LA, San Diego, Miami, New York, Marbella, all over France. I was in Paris for a while. And then basically came back to London, and things, because I'm based in London, my market should be a lot better there. And the scout from Elite, basically, I was in the tube, and he'd come up to me a couple of times before, and I was like, you know, I'm kind of happy where I am. So then he said, he followed me in and out of one tube, in and out of the other, and I was kind of like, okay, look, I'll go in and see them tomorrow.
And did you know he was real?
I didn't. Well, it was a bit kind of
on the tube.
Edgy at the start, and I said, well, you know, he said, look, just meet me 12 o'clock tomorrow, I'll bring you into Elite. So I went in, and they were like, no, we love you, you know, we'd love you to join. So it was a big leap for me. I was a bit anxious about whether to change or not, and then I'm very, very happy with the way.
And this is the result. 3 covers in very quick success.
They're brilliant management, and they believe in you 100%, which is vitally important in this business, because...
Going back, though, how did you get discovered in the first place? I mean, was your mother pushing you? Were you pushing?
My mom did put me into a competition when I was 15 for the head-to-toe competition here, and I won that, and hence joined Ellie Shanahan, the agency. And then I entered a Supermodel of Ireland competition, which is sponsored by Ford, big international agency, and I represented Ireland and went to Las Vegas and did a shoot there and did very well, came 5th.
You went into one particular interview dressed in your gym slip.
No, I was just out of school. I was doing my German orals, my real German orals, the day of the competition, so I arrived.
I found this in a newspaper. Have a look. There's you in your gym slip.
In my school uniform?
Yeah.
Yeah, I arrived basically all stressed, and I'd just come from, you know, my German orals, and I was a bit disillusioned because all the girls were asked to kind of put on swimsuits, and she looked at their photographs, and she didn't ask me to do that, and I kind of thought, well, you could have at least asked me to do it to not make me feel so bad. I immediately thought I was, you know, eliminated, or she wasn't even looking at me. So when my name was announced and they announced the winner, I kind of stood back and went, are you sure it was me, kind of thing. It was a bit of a shock, but it was great.
So you weren't actually in your school uniform when you...
No.
How did you do in the meeting?
I did very well. I got 7 honours, and I did mostly honors subjects.
So what would you have done if this career had...
I had a lot of interest. I wanted to do medicine when I was younger, and then my interest kept changing. So when I left school, I went into modelling in the summer, and then started to do well, and I really enjoyed it. And I've met so many people in so many countries that my aspects and everything has changed. My interests have changed so much that I'm really enjoying it now, because now I have the opportunity to see so much of the world, to travel, which, you know, very few young people have. I mean, it's an amazing opportunity.
Do you actually get to see any of the world? I mean, you go to a location, you go in a
Sometimes you get a couple of days. I mean, I've been to a couple of shoots where you're up at 5:30 in the morning, you finish at 9:30 at night, so you might as well be working in the studio at home, because you're literally on location, you don't get to do anything or go anywhere, and that is the hard side. But if you have a couple of days, I mean, to get to see somewhere is great, and you meet so many people.
You don't like the Greeks?
No.
Why not?
Well, I had a bad experience in Athens I went and I did editorial, which is magazine work, for a few weeks, and just absolutely despised the city. I really hated it. I thought it was really...
The smoky, choked up place.
Yeah, and it's a very angry city. It's a very bad energy. Everybody's, you know, very stressed all the time, and a couple of sleazy photographers in Athens that I wouldn't go back to, and that kind of experience.
Yeah. I mean, how vulnerable do you feel in a situation like that? Or are you well looked after by your agency?
You are well looked after, but I think the aspect of Athens is quite frightening, because I've never come across it before, and I did feel very vulnerable over there. And for me to be 20 now, and I started when I was 15, I've had a lot of experience, whereas I felt for a 15 or 16-year-old girl, how would she cope with a situation like that, because she wouldn't be as experienced as I am.
Because it could well have been 15 or 16.
So in that way, I was I'm glad I'm the age I am now, and I'm glad I'm starting to do well now, that I have that, you know, backup behind me.
Those covers that we showed, I mean, do they pay you well?
Magazine work pays probably the worst out of everything, because it's what gets you, you know, the money work. It's what gets you seen. It's like the fashion shows. You have to do the fashion shows to be seen, and then you get the money work. You know, it's like everything's a stepping stone. Money work would be commercial work, you know, major commercials, TV commercials, campaigns.
We're looking at you. This is you.
Yeah.
In
when I have long hair.
Organics. Now your hair is
shorter.
What happened?
I went into the hairdressers about a week and a half ago, because I'm going to work in Germany, and for catalogues, they found that my hair was very long, it was about here, and they find it very difficult to work with. So I said, cut it to my shoulders, layer it, and it was in a ponytail, and he cut my ponytail, and I kind of put my fingers through my hair and said, it's not my shoulders. And he kind of got a bit, well, you know, and I said, no, it's not my shoulders, what are you after doing? But I mean, I cried for 3 days, but I'm over now, a week and a half later.
I mean, it could have cost you a lot of work.
If
your hair
could have cost me a lot of work, and that's
selling.
what I was really apprehensive about. I was like, oh my God. I mean, I went in and totally, as I always do, I went OTT and stopped it. I'm leaving, I'm not doing anything else, my hair is gone. But it's actually worked out really, really well for me. I'm really pleased. I've gotten a lot of jobs through it. I'm going to Munich on Monday morning to do a lot of good money work in the next few weeks, and then I'm on to Hamburg.
Yeah. You know the way they said about the supermodels, they don't get out of bed for less than $10,000 a day. I mean, what is the kind of rate that you could command for a top job at the moment?
Catalogue would pay around about, for average, about $1,500 a day. So that's where Germany has the money, and places like Miami have the money, whereas you need to go to Paris, Milan, London, do the editorial, get seen. Because people think, oh, catalogue work, you know, it's only a catalogue. You have to have the major editorial and the covers and everything to actually get to catalogue work. And that's where a lot of the big girls make their money as well. They're making in campaigns, but like Sophie Schiffer, there's a lot of catalogue work in Germany, and that's where she makes her big money.
And when you say £1,500, you might get 4 days, 5 days work out of it.
Yeah, 5-day trip out of that. So that's
quite nice money. Thank you.
Quite nice
Thank you very much. Have you ever felt dispirited and despondent about the business?
I think every few weeks, it's a very up and down business, and the agency have kind of stressed that an awful lot. You know what I mean? You've picked a career where people are picking out things in you that you don't notice yourself. So you're kind of, sometimes I feel like I'm constantly looking in the mirror at myself and analysing myself, which I hate about the business sometimes. But then the rewards really pay, you know, and travelling and everything is great. But I mean, every few weeks I am giving up. I'm like, I go to a cast and I'm like, why am I doing this anyway? Or a photographer just looks at your book and goes, no, sorry, and hands it back to you. You know, or nobody barely looks at you. In that way, it can get really disheartening. But I mean, overall, I mean,
how close are you to really cracking it, do you think?
I think you can never really say. The business is so up and down, but I mean, things are starting to go steadily well. And my management behind me in London now is pushing me. They know what way they're marketing me. They're good at what they do. And my book is in New York at the moment, marketing me now. She's had very good response from them, so I'm really happy to hear that.
So watch out for those covers with a short-haired Alison.
Short-haired Alison.
Alison, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Thank you.